Shalom, this is Falling Yahshua. Welcome again to the Rock. It's a hot day today, extremely hot. So I decided to take a little break and come in and do a video. Just getting a lot done. Just getting a lot. One thing that for those that homestead, you understand is that it's never ending. You just keep going. And it's a blessing because you'll never have to say, well, I'm bored. But at the same time, there's just a lot to do. Right now, we're harvesting a lot of seeds from our spring gardens that have gone to seed, you know, and I'll show you some of the seeds that we're harvesting. We're harvesting pepper seeds and squash seeds. And right here, we have a whole crate of okra. And this okra is not for eating, actually. This one is actually for seed. So we have the two types. We have the burgundy okra and we have the green okra. And you know, they're really hard, but we harvested these for seeds. Now, a couple of these we'll probably eat, and we have some of the small. This one's still tender. We probably eat this one, but I like harvesting my own seeds. I spend a lot of time harvesting my own seeds, and I'll show you how, you know, I do it, what process I use. But that's to harvest okra seeds. So that whole crate is basically going to be used to harvest okra seeds for the next years and to share with some of my brothers and sisters. But anyways, I've been asked a lot about homesteading. You know, a lot more people are interested in the topic of homesteading, growing their own food. Hallelujah, praise Yah. And, you know, they've gone through my channel and watched many of the videos, and now they're like, okay, I want to start doing it. Or in preparedness, they asked me a lot of questions about preparedness. So this video is going to be the preparedness portion. Then I'm going to talk about the homesteading. But they asked, where do I get my principles for preparedness, storing food? What do I store? How did I get the idea? Because there's a lot of information out there. A lot of people do videos about it and say, but they don't really ever state where they get their principle from. My principles, if you don't understand, when I talk about the Word of Yah, you know, the Bible, my principles come from it. Even my preparedness principles. We're going to read a couple verses. So turn to, if you have the Apocrypha, turn to the Apocrypha, which was in the original 1611 King James Version of the Bible that they took out. If you turn in the Apocrypha to Ecclesiasticus, or Sirach, chapter 29, there's two verses that I took out of this that I use in helping guide me into what I store and how much. You hear me talk a lot about food preservation or food preparation or storing food. There's a reason why I talk a lot about storing food. Excuse the baby in the background. I think they're getting the diapers changed. But let's just go some of the verses. Sirach chapter 29 verse 21. The chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. Now the next verse does say, better is the life of a poor man in a mean cottage than delicate fare in another man's house. I have a whole new video coming out on just that verse. But again, Ecclesiasticus 29:21 says the chief thing for life is water and bread and clothing and a house to cover shame. You know, when it comes to the Bible in the Exodus, when it says if a man take another wife, you know, he has to provide food, clothing, and conjugal rights. So men, we know that, but that thing is also, that same sentiment is here. Food, covering, conjugal rights. Water and bread is the food. Clothing and a house or roof over her head is the covering, and then the conjugal rights are the conjugal rights. But for the sake of this, for the sake of preparedness, when you read that verse, you're seeing you need water, you need bread, you need clothing, and you need a home. Those are the things, as it says, the chief things for life. So when it comes to preparedness, I focus on those things because the Word just told me those are the chief things for life. You get what I'm saying? And that bread I refer to as all food. You know, not just grains and bread, but I'm talking about food in general. So I look at it as water, food, clothing, and a house. Now let's also go to Sirach chapter 39. Sirach chapter 39, verse 26. This is another thing that I use that helps govern me, that helps provide me a pathway, a principle in which I base my preparedness on. Ecclesiasticus 39:26 and 27. All right? The principal things for the whole use of man's life. So the principal things for the whole use of man's life are water. Okay? We got that. We heard that from the other one. Fire. Cooking. You use fire for cooking. You use fire for sterilization. You use fire for boiling. You use fire for heat. So water, fire, iron. There. Hey, get out. Excuse me. There's your the iron is there's your tools. There's your weapons. There's your, because a weapon, a firearm, is just a tool. So there's your tools, including the firearm. There's your gardening tools. That's the iron. Salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, and the blood of the grape, and oil and clothing. Those are the principal things for the whole use of man's life. But if you look at that list, you'll see a lot of food references. The food references are water, salt, flour of wheat, honey, milk, blood of the grape, and oil. You see how many of those things encompass food. This is why I'm so into, and I go so deeply into food preservation, into storing food. Uh-oh, hold on. Okay, I'm back. One baby woke up the other baby. Y'all know how that goes. But anyways, so those are the chief things of life, and you saw how many references there were to food. So food, you look at the story of Joseph in the Bible, and the dreams that he interpreted that gave him the vision to store 7 years of food. Because he knew that the 7 years of famine are coming afterwards. And now in today's society, what we have is we have a lot of people that are now interested in food storage at the end of the years of plenty. For those of you who have been on this channel for a while, I've made the reference to the 7 years of plenty and the 7 years of famine dating back almost 3 years ago. Where I kept making a reference of, I feel like we are coming to the end of the 7 years of famine. It feels like the 7 years of plenty, excuse me. It feels like we're coming to the end of the 7 years of plenty, and people are, oh, it's no big deal, there's plenty. And now we're starting to see some things happen on this earth. Some things, whether they're man-created or, acts of Yah, but whatever the case may be, food is being greatly affected. I don't know if any of you have even looked at what's going on in China, where there's some crazy rules that they're establishing for food. The what they call the mukbus. No, the muckos, whatever they're called, where the people eat food online. Well, they're pulling those off in China. People are being forced to remove those off of their social medias in China. Food is and always is security. Food is. You look at other nations, food, those who own the food end up becoming warlords, because with the food you can control everybody else. That's why when you read that script, those two scriptures that I said, or that I read, you see the basis and a focal point on food. The first one I read was bread and water. The second one, it had fire, it had clothing, and it had iron, but the rest of it was food. This is why I take so much time in storing food. This is why you don't hear me just sit back and talk. This is why I'm not able to do as many videos as I'd like to do, because me and the sisters are always at it. I've got to dehydrate this now so that I can put these seeds back so we can grow more food for next year. Some of that will probably get preserved, but we have to grow more food for next year. And a year after that, and then obviously to bless all my brothers and sisters. But this is why I focus so much on food. There's an importance in having an ample supply of calories, carbohydrates, nutrients, and you should be getting it from yourself. It's almost like Yah gave us a reprieve. He gave us an opportunity to prepare our homes, because none of us really know how this zombie plague is going to go. Nobody knows. We see how much it's impacting the food supply right now. And you look at the death rate, and you're like, well, there was other things that were out there during this time, or during the history of man, dating back to Adam and Eve, where there was, I'm sure there were viruses or whatever like that, but I never saw it affected like this. This is how temperamental, this is how fragile the supply chain is. You've seen videos online where if the supply chain got disrupted, we're in a just right now type of system where the things get delivered just right now, and if 1 day or a 2-day delay happened for a lot of these things, the shelves would be empty. Well, now you're seeing it. Now you're seeing shelves being empty, and people are not able to buy as much. You're looking at the what do they call that? Where they only allow you to get a certain amount of something. Dang, the word's on the top of my tongue, I can't say it. I can't remember what it's called. Rationing. You're seeing the rationing of food. You go to stores and they're telling you, oh, make sure that you only get one so that there's ample for other customers, or make sure you only get two. It's a real passive way of rationing food. It's only a matter of time before they make that rationing more aggressive. Well, if you're growing your own food, this is a harvest from only part of my okra garden. Imagine what it looks like for those people that don't have anything. I know people right now that are suffering in their major cities. They're throwing, or asking for money on Facebook, or putting up little, will you donate, $200 or $300 or GoFundMe's, and people are really relying, and it's all for food. It's all for food. We are in such an interesting time right now. If you don't have a place to lay your head, there's probably not going to be a place for you to put food back. And yet people are being evicted out of their places of renting and their apartments, and they're not able to pay their housing mortgages, and they're being evicted from their homes. Well, where do they put their food now? Where does their food come from? Especially for a lot of these people, because they put their last dollars into trying to keep that roof over their head, knowing they were 3 or 4 months behind and couldn't afford it. And to end up being evicted a month later because they're trying to keep that place, and they put their last dollars into it, and then they get evicted anyways. Food is what this is where I got the principle and why I speak so much on food. This is why, up here you see things like fermented collards. Well, you can't see them, but they're up there. You see things fermented squash. This is why you see things like this. This is why you see things like this. You see things like that are actively being done because we see the need for food. I'm going to show you just another part, and then we're going to end this video. I can't flip my phone around, so I have to do it this way. But as you can see right here, right now, this is my seed station. We are harvesting seeds. Right here, I have a pepper that I am dehydrating. As you can see, we're dehydrating, and we're going to be putting those seeds in this container. In fact, I already have seeds in it. Right here, we have butternut squash seeds, along with a different type of pepper that we're dehydrating. Right here, we have green zucchini seeds, right here. Green zucchini seeds with a different type of pepper. These are more spaghetti squash. Let me see if we can see. There you go. Wait, nope. There you go. That, spaghetti squash seeds. That. All right, now I already have a container right here full of spaghetti squash seeds, but we needed some more. We wanted some more. Right here, we have green zucchini seeds. Right here, these are lettuce, red flamed lettuce seeds. And I just put them in these little bottles after they're dehydrated. So as you can see right here, we are, and this is just some of the seeds. This is just some of the seeds. We have countertops full of seeds that we are dehydrating and putting back. So it's very important that you make sure that you are doing as much as you can to follow what that word says, to follow the prescription of the Bible. Tools, food, oil, wine. It even said the blood of the grape, wine, milk, wheat, or I look at wheat and say grains. So, make sure that you are putting grains back. Do whatever it takes for you to get what you need for your family, to put back the food that is needed. This is the principle that I use. Those two verses are just one of the two verses. Oh, excuse me. One of the two verses that I use as the principle for my preparations. Those two verses. I have verses that I use for my for homesteading. When I first got here, I used the verse that says, "Make fit your work outside first, or your work outside in the field first, then build your home." I did that. I focused when I first got to the Rock on gardens. Then I put my focus into building my home, and Yah has blessed me for it. Because I believe the wisdom in the book, I believe the wisdom in the Bible far supersedes our traditional wisdom. Yah knew what he was doing. I mean, he created all things. He knew what system or how it should be done, so he imparted that wisdom to those that were before us. And I believe that if we took that wisdom, that we would benefit from it. The problem is that so much of this modernized agriculture and modernized way of doing this and modernized way of doing that wasn't always for our best benefit. Sometimes we get so caught up in trying to do things the easiest way that we end up doing things the most destructive way, when Yah's ways are simple. So if you can, put back food as much as you can. As Bear Independent says, stack it to the rafters. Put back as much as you can. If you are homesteading, I got videos for that of the principles that I use in homesteading, and those two verses are two of the principles that I used in my homestead. But the word is so massive. It's an agricultural book for an agricultural people. That's why Yahshua even used agricultural references. Parable of the sower, sheep, shepherd, seeds landing on different soils. Harvest is plenty, the laborers are few. I am the vine and you are the branches. It's an agricultural book. You will know them by their fruit. You will know that a person by his fruit. You're not going to know a person by what he says. You're going to know a person by his fruit. You should be knowing people's fruit. Hallelujah. So that's my little, talk on the verses that I use. Think of those verses. Meditate on those verses. Read those verses. And I believe that there is so much wisdom in them. There is so much wisdom in them. And if you meditated on them, Yah would impart even more wisdom upon you. And we followed his ways and focused on the things that he said. These are the things that in a man's life. Those are the things. And in reality, when you look at it, it's just really, really simple. It's really simple. It's not this extravagant quadratic formula that you have to try and figure out. It's a very simple thing that Yah presented to us. All right. With that being said, I hope this is a blessing. Look at those two verses, read them, and ask yourself: do I have what it takes to maintain life where I'm at? Do I have what it takes to maintain life based on that verse? Hallelujah. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to hit pause. With that being said, bless you all and shalom.